Okay, welcome to the May 11th, 2022 board meeting. My name is Sung-ho, President of the board. Before we convene, I'd like to remind everyone present that the board is a consumer protection agency charged with administering and enforcing pharmacy law. Where protection of the public is inconsistent with other interests sought to be promoted, the protection of the public shall be paramount. This meeting is being conducted in a hybrid fashion as included on the agenda. Members are participating in two public locations, one in Sacramento and the other location in San Diego. Members of the public may participate in person at either of these locations or via WebEx using the link provided on the agenda. Participants watching the webcast will only be able to observe the meeting. Information and instructions are posted on our website to join the WebEx as well as the webcast. As I facilitate this meeting, I will announce when we are accepting public comment. I have advised the meeting moderator to allot 2 minutes to each individual providing comments. As public comments are taken, I intend to first accept public comment from those individuals attending in person at the Sacramento location, followed by those individuals attending in person at the San Diego location, followed by those individuals participating via WebEx. I'd like to ask staff moderating the meeting to provide general instructions to members of the public participating via WebEx. Moderator?
Thank you, Mr. Board President. For those joining us on WebEx, we will be utilizing the WebEx question and answer and hand raise features to facilitate public comment. When public comment is called for, I will open up the question and answer feature, also referred to as a Q&A panel, which you will hear me refer to as the Q&A panel. And members of the public who wish to make a comment can click on the Q&A icon, type the word comment in the text box, and click on the send button. To utilize the hand raise feature, you will simply click on the hand icon next to your name to raise and lower your hand. Those of you who have called into the meeting can dial *3 to raise and lower your hand. We'll display these instructions during the public comment. After we have taken public comment from our Sacramento and San Diego locations, I'll call on those individuals requesting to comment through WebEx. And with that, I return it back to you, Mr. Board President.
Thank you, Trisha. I'd like to take a roll call to establish a quorum as included on the agenda. If a quorum of members is not present as part of my direct discretion, we will proceed as a committee. Members, as I call your name, please remember to open your line before speaking. I will start with members present in the Sacramento location, followed by members present in the San Diego location. We'll do Maria Serpa is not here. Jig Patel is not here. Indira Cameron-Banks is not here. Jose de la Paz is not here. Shirley Kim is not here. Kula Koenig is not here. Ricardo Sanchez?
Ricardo Sanchez, public member here.
Thank you, Ricardo. Nicole Tebow is not here. Debbie Veal?
Debbie Veal, professional member, present.
Thank you, Debbie. And I am here. And Jason, are you in San Diego?
I am President O. Jason Weiss, public member.
Thank you, Jason. Are there any public present at your location, Jason?
No public here.
Okay. And as a quorum was not established, we will proceed as a committee. I'd like to announce that in the event the board does not have a quorum during this portion of the meeting, consistent with the provisions of Business and Professions Code Section 4309C and the board's policy, a committee of the board will consider the petitions today. I'll now open the meeting for public comments for items not on the agenda. I'd like to remind members of the public that you're not required to identify yourself, but may do so. I'd also like to remind everyone that the board cannot take action on these items except to decide whether to place an item on a future agenda. Members, following review of the public comments for this agenda item, I will ask members to comment on what, if any, items should be placed on a future agenda. As a reminder, this agenda item is not intended to be a discussion, rather an opportunity for members of the board and members of the public to request consideration of an item for future placement on an agenda, at which time discussion may occur. Any public comment in Sacramento? Seeing none, any public comment in San Diego? I don't think anyone's there.
No one is here, no public comment.
All right, so public comment in WebEx.
Thank you, Mr. Board President. If any member of the public would like to participate or make a comment, please type comment using the field in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and send it to all panelists, or simply raise your hand using the *3 feature. We'll give you a moment. All right, we do have a member of the public with a raised hand, Timothy Riffenberg. So Timothy, you'll have 2 minutes. I'll give you a 10-second warning, and you should be able to unmute yourself. There you go.
I've been a pharmacist in California for 40 years, and I thank you for the recognition and the plaque that you had sent out. My concern and the point that I would like to raise with the board is the fact that I'm currently working for Save-On Albertsons as a floater pharmacist. I owned my own pharmacy for 10 years, had 25 people working for me when I sold it, and I've been a manager almost 30 years. I've now become a floater because of the poor staffing that we have. I work in 15 to 20 different locations, and about a half a dozen of the locations do not have appropriate staffing and have many hours where the pharmacist works alone. The company has provided lists that are supposedly supposed to have people that are available to help us. On numerous occasions, I have paged them and asked for help, and I have never had anyone come and help me. I paid 6 times last week to have someone help me whose name was on the list. And I got no response to the page, and no one showed up to help. I asked the person when I left if they heard the pages. They said that they had heard the pages, the last couple pages, but they were busy. And I asked them, quite frankly, if they had ever worked in the pharmacy, and they replied that they had never worked in the pharmacy anytime over the past 2 years. So what I would like to have the board do is look at adopting fiscal or financial penalties or policy for companies that violate SB 1442. Thank you.
Thank you for the comments.
All right, I see no further requests for comment. Shall I close the Q&A panel?
Yes, please. Thank you, Tricia.
You're
Members, we cannot take any action on the public comment, but please let me know if there are any items you would like to include as a future agenda item.
I believe this is Board Member Veal. I believe that item is on the agenda for enforcement to review, so.
Not sure. I don't think it's an enforcement.
Isn't an enforcement of a regulation would be on enforcement?
Sorry, I don't know the agenda for enforcement. So I'm gonna.
Anyway, if it's not, then it seems like we do we get reoccurring comments such as that, so we should make sure.
I will work with the chair of the enforcement to see if we can get that in the agenda item. Yeah, okay, sounds good. And so we're going to move on to the agenda item 3, recognition and celebration of pharmacist licensed in California for 40 years and other recognitions. As you may recall, several years ago, the board changed its recognition program for pharmacists and currently recognizes pharmacists that have been licensed for 40 or more years. This information is posted on our website, and pharmacists are provided with a certificate. Prior to transitioning to remote meetings, the board routinely provided an opportunity for pharmacists licensed for 40 years to attend the board meeting and be recognized by the board. Such individuals are also presented with a pin, and generally their photo is included in the newsletter. I'm pleased to announce that with the return of in-person meetings, we can also resume this in-person recognition. Staff, are there any individuals that have signed up in person in Sacramento to be recognized? No? Okay. Well, still, congratulations to everyone who has been licensed as a pharmacist for over 40 years. The board thanks you for your contribution to public health. I believe Tim, the speaker, was one of those 40-year pharmacists, so congratulations, Tim, for all your hard work and dedication to this profession and your commitment. Now, members, I would like to request that former President Greg Lippy come forward. Greg served on the board from February 2009 through May 31st of 2021. Unfortunately, because of COVID, restrictions at this time, the board was unable to meet in person and recognize Greg for his years of service to the board and for his amazing leadership as both the president and vice president for a number of years. Along with his leadership as a chairperson for the Legislation and Regulation Committee, Greg led the board through sunset review and started the board on its path in responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. Greg has been a wonderful mentor to many board members present and in the past and shown what a consensus builder can do to achieve great results. Even though when I joined the board was rapidly transitioning to the WebEx format and I did not get to meet Greg in person until recently, Greg was gracious in welcoming me into the board. He was always willing to listen and learn. And what made Greg an amazing president and a board member was his constant willingness to learn, listen, and share the ideas to bring everyone together. I know that he is a natural leader, and I have the highest regards for him. And Greg, on behalf of the board and the consumers of California, I would like to present you with this award. Truly thank you for your commitment to the California consumers and the board's consumer protection mandate. Greg, you left big shoes to fill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Say a few words.
I'll come up and get it.
Oh, no, I'm going to go out there and bring it. Go ahead and see it.
Yeah, I have
I'll get you a box so you can.
Thank you. Okay, I too have some notes here. Okay, so 12 years, magic number. That's the number that I spent on the board in the last 2 years as president. And during my time on the board, I learned a great deal and gained a tremendous respect for the profession of pharmacy. Pharmacists and technicians who support them are true lifesavers, and they deserve much greater recognition than they get. I'm honored to receive the recognition of this award and for having the opportunity to serve on the board. I very much enjoyed working with an outstanding group of board members and a very dedicated staff. They provided me, and I will not forget the public participation. They provided me with so much insight and enabled me to make very informed and probably much better decisions. I'm very thankful to Ann Sodergren, our extraordinary EO, and for the people that have supported me throughout, including Debbie Dameth, Susan Capello, Christine Acosta, and Janice Dang. And of course, Janice Dang, I have to thank her for almost giving me a hernia. We were on a plane coming to Sacramento, and I noticed she had several bags, so when we got off the plane, I said, "Let me help you with one of your bags." And she said, "Great." And I reached over and I picked it up. And I said, I didn't realize the bag she gave me was full of books. So thank you, Janice Dang. Anyway, in closing, I'm really impressed with the work that Sung-Oh is doing as our president, and I wish you all great success from here on out. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
I also had the great opportunity of working with Kim Kirkmeyer, our director of DCA, and she's absolutely extraordinary.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you. Members, anyone want to say anything to Greg? I'm sure you said all your...
Well, I can't not say anything because Greg and I served almost, I think he was here 1 year before I got on the board, and he proved to be a very good, strong leader, and more importantly, a very good friend. So appreciate everything you did for the Board of Pharmacy. Who would have known that an accountant could do such a good job, do such a good job of leading us. I know at first when we would look at like the, board reports and the, stability of the board financially, we'd all look towards him, and then we learned, hey, this guy actually knows more than just looking at the numbers. So you did yourself well, Mr. Lippy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I wanted to say that, Greg, you're the first non-pharmacist, that's been a director here that I know of, and you proved that you could do a very great job. And I was impressed. And I wish you the best in the rest.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Okay. So we have also two members that have completed their terms today, Debbie Veal and Shirley Kim. I wish all our fellow board members were here with us as well, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, we're missing quite a few. But nonetheless, I'd like to recognize our fellow board member, Debbie Veal. Debbie, I'd like to present you with this resolution on behalf of our members. Debbie was appointed to the board on January 1, 2010, and served Californians for over 12 years. Debbie, your commitment to the board and consumers cannot be overstated. You served in leadership roles as both the treasurer and vice president, as well as served as committee chair. You have been a model to many new members and have demonstrated through your words and actions your strong understanding and commitment to the board's consumer protection mandate. It has been an honor to work with you. The resolution states, whereas Debbie Veal faithfully served as a member for the California State Board of Pharmacy from January 1, 2010 to May 31st, 2022, and whereas Ms. Veal faithfully served as treasurer of the board from June 1st, 2014 to May 31st, 2015, and vice president of the board from June 1st, 2015 to May 31st, 2017, and from November 5th, 2019 to May 31st, 2021. And whereas Ms. Veal faithfully served as a member of the Communication and Public Education Committee, the Legislation and Regulation Committee, and the Licensing Committee, and the Enforcement and Compounding Committee. And whereas throughout her years of service, she gave tirelessly of herself and her ideas and acted forthrightly and conscientiously, always with the public interest and welfare in mind. And whereas she discharged these important responsibilities in a manner reflecting great credit upon herself and the board. And whereas her colleagues wish to express to her their high esteem and regard, now therefore be it resolved this 11th day of May 2022 that the members of the California State Board of Pharmacy express heartfelt appreciation to Deborah Veal for the outstanding contribution she made during her term of service to the board. Debbie, on behalf of the board, I would like to present you with this resolution and thank you for your years of service.
Well, as my fellow board members know, I am never a shortage of words. Always, maybe sometimes want to say too many words and they want to shut me up. But, this is a profession I love. And just like Mr. Reifenberg, who I may have worked with at the beginning of my career, I believe, I love being a pharmacist. And I've been a pharmacist in a couple different ways, both, serving the community, which was the love of my life, and then more in kind of administrative type positions. But serving on the Board of Pharmacy has really been the pinnacle of my career, to try to move our profession forward into the future. As my fellow board members know also, I think we've moved too slow and too cautiously, but that's for the board that is remaining after me to hopefully embrace and make sure that California stays at the lead in the nation, because I think we can, but I think there's some work to be done. But it's been a pleasure to be here for 12 and a half years, and enjoyed working with the staff. We have a very extremely strong staff. Enjoyed working with the director, who I originally knew as the EO at the medical board in various positions, and she's got a very strong staff too. Thank you, Kim. And I've enjoyed working with the board members that we have today, as well as the ones that we've had in the past. So thank you for the recognition, President O. I appreciate it. And I know that we're moving forward in capable hands.
Thank you, Eddie. And with that, go ahead, Greg.
I just wanted to say it's been 12 great years working with Debbie. We worked extremely well together, and she has been just, an encyclopedia of knowledge and helped me tremendously. So thank you very much, Debbie.
Okay, so thank you, everyone. We will now take a break until 10 a.m., and I apologize for this little awkward scheduling. We had a little bit of a lot of unforeseen circumstances come up our way, so today we're going to take a break until about 10 o'clock, and we will get started with the petitioner hearings as a committee of the board. Thank you, everyone. So we are going to get started.
Okay. And President O, if you could do a quick roll call just for the benefit of the ALJ to know who's present.
Yep, will do. And so I have my little bill alert here, so we'll get started. So welcome back. Before I turn the meeting over to the Administrative Law Judge, Erin Cook Goodman, I'm going to take a roll call and document the members present, consistent with the provisions of Business and Professions Code Section 4309C and the board's policy. As a quorum of the board is not present, a committee of the board will consider the petitions today and make recommendations to the full board that will be subject to review by the full board in accordance with Government Code Section 11517. And so with that, we'll start with Ricardo.
Ricardo Sanchez, public member, present.
Thank you, Ricardo. Debbie?
Hi, this is Debbie Veal, professional member.
Thank you, Debbie, and I'm here. And Kula?
Kula Koenig, public member, here.
Thank you, Kula. And going to San Diego, Jason.
I am here, and the sound is much better. Thank you all.
Perfect. Thank you, Jason. Thank you. So we have no quorum, but we have a committee of the board present, and we're ready for petitions. And the floor is yours, Judge Erin Cook Goodman.
Yeah, good morning. This is Erin Koch Goodman. Pretend there's a T in there, if you wouldn't mind. I have the petitions as they are set in the agenda. Dr. O, would you like to go in any different order, or is that an acceptable order?
An acceptable order, as you wish.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And do we have a court reporter present as well?
Your Honor, this is Nicole Trauma, Deputy Attorney General. There's no court reporter since all of the petitioners have consented to electronic reporting.
Very good. Thank you so much for jumping in with that information. And we have identified the members of the board here. And Dr. O, again, thank you for mentioning for the record that we are here with a committee of the board under Business and Professions Code Section 4309C, which means we will hear the petition today and then I will write a proposed decision, and then that will be considered by the full board. That being said, why don't we begin with Ms. Jimenez. Ms. Jimenez, are you present?
I think we can hear you, Ms. Jimenez.
Yes, you can hear me, or you can't hear me.
Now I can hear you perfectly fine. Thank you so much.
I'm here.
Okay, very good. Ms. Jimenez, we're going to handle your petition first. I'm going to ask that the Deputy Attorney General, Ms. Trumma, provide for us a summary of the information regarding your petition, and then I will turn to you for testimony that you will provide. Out of an abundance of caution, just in case Ms. Trumma or the board members have questions for you in advance of your testimony, I'm going to swear you in now. If you would please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. In that case, we are here today for the petition for early termination of probation for Ms. Julia Rizzo Jimenez. This is the Board of Pharmacy case number 6310, and it is the Office of Administrative Hearings case number 2022050-121. It is May 11th, 2022, and it is 10:04 a.m. I believe we have one exhibit that I am marking Exhibit 1, and I have it paginated as AGO 001 through 088. Ms. Trumma, is that an accurate representation of the petition and all other documents being submitted?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, very good. In that case, Ms. Trumma, I'm going to turn to you for a summary of this matter, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Deputy Attorney General Nicole Trumma. I'm appearing on behalf of the Attorney General for the people of the state of California under Government Code Section 11522. We're here today on a petition for early termination of probation for a pharmacy technician license. The underlying accusation was based on petitioner's DUI conviction from September 25th, 2017. The circumstances that led to that conviction are that on June 3rd, 2017, respondent was pulled over for swerving by a highway patrol officer, and she appeared under the influence. She had a minor son in her vehicle. Her breath test was measured, and her blood alcohol concentration was 0.25 and 0.26%, which is over 3 times the legal limit. In a decision after rejection, which became effective on April 6, 2019, petitioner's technician license was revoked, the revocation was stayed, and the license was placed on probation for 4 years with certain terms and conditions. She was required to report to the board on a quarterly basis, pay costs, pay probation monitoring costs, maintain an active certification, participate in drug and alcohol testing, attend substance abuse recovery relapse prevention and support groups, and to identify a worksite monitor and ensure monitor reports to the Board of Pharmacy. Petitioner is currently in compliance with all of the terms and conditions of her probation. Petitioner has filed the instant petition for early termination of probation. And along with her petition, she submitted continuing education certificates, 6 letters of recommendation, which were all verified by board staff. Those petition and all of those related documents were provided to the board members, and petitioner has a copy of those. The redacted petition packet was also uploaded to OAH's online exhibit platform, Caselines. It's now petitioner's opportunity to address the board. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Ms. Jimenez, the board is, for the most part, concerned with rehabilitation when they are considering a petition for early termination of probation. And so I would ask that you concentrate on that area, but the floor is yours to make whatever testimony you would like the board to hear and for me to consider in making my decision.
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, I want to thank everyone, all the members of the board for being here today and listening to my statement and accepting my early petition for early termination of probation. Since I was placed on probation and my pharmacy technician license was revoked, I have attended Alcoholics Anonymous meetings once a week. I'm a member of a great support group of women that help each other get through sobriety one day at a time. We all are available for each other if we need someone to talk to or text to get any stressful situation, or just need someone to talk to in general, really, about anything. I have learned through these women's shares to find a higher power to control your actions to not make wrong decisions. I have heard really bad situations where alcohol is involved and the outcome is bad. And listening to these stories definitely encourages me to never drink again and get behind the wheel. Part of my rehabilitation is also to be enrolled in an alcohol testing program in which I am required to check in with the program on a daily basis and during the program's business hours. Submit a urine test while supervised on days selected for testing. Most of the times I get selected takes place during my working hours and sometimes have wait times up to 2 hours depending on the testing site's staff availability. I stay active in my free time with my son and his 4-H community organization program. It is a group of 8 kids that are raising livestock. We have pigs and turkeys for the county's fair that will take place this summer. I help their learning in animal health and growth. I also like to give back to the community by delivering and donating vegetables to our local senior center. I really enjoy my job as a pharmacy technician. Since starting my job at Sansom Clinic, I have achieved so many accomplishments. From pharmacy technician to start, to pharmacy inventory coordinator, medical interpreter for the Spanish-speaking patients, and non-sterile compounding. I've completed continuing education courses to maintain my professional skills and knowledge in pharmacy. And I would like to continue my pharmacy career with a clean license and be able to travel freely without any detours to finding a testing site. It has been a financial burden, but I am grateful and privileged to hold a technician license. All of these actions in my rehabilitation are safeguards that will prevent me from repetition of my violation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Trauma, do you have questions for Ms. Jimenez?
I do. Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Jimenez, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. You've completed all of the terms of your criminal probation, is that correct?
Yes, I have. That ended in September of 2020.
Okay. And did you stop drinking alcohol completely?
Yes, I did.
And when did you stop drinking alcohol?
I stopped drinking alcohol after my conviction in 2017.
And I noticed in the underlying decision you had testified that you didn't consider yourself an alcoholic. What about now? Do you consider yourself an alcoholic now?
No, I do not.
Looking back on your conviction, what do you think caused you to drink and drive with such a high blood alcohol content?
It was a long day of being out and just consuming alcohol. I didn't consider myself a danger alcohol impairs your ability to do anything pretty much, and that's what I've learned since then.
And you mentioned you're attending AA. Is that once a week?
Yes, it is.
And do you have a sponsor?
I do not.
Okay. Are you a sponsor to anyone else?
No, I am not.
Okay. And did you ever work the steps in AA?
No.
Since being on probation, have you tested positive for alcohol?
No, I have not.
And since being on probation, have you consumed any alcohol?
No, I have not.
Do you think you'll continue with AA if your probation is terminated?
Yes, definitely. I really love the support group I'm in, and they've become very, very close friends of mine.
And what about if you're no longer required to test? Would you go back to drinking alcohol, you think?
No.
Can you explain to us how, if at all, your life has changed since being placed on probation?
I believe that my life has changed completely since being on probation. I've learned that alcohol is not something that needs to be in my life. I've learned to be more social and create a better group of friends to make better choices and be more responsible.
I don't have any further questions for this petitioner. Thank you.
All right. Dr. O, given our separation for some members and not others, if you could please offer the members that you are sitting before and around an opportunity to ask any questions if they have any.
Absolutely. Thank you, Judge Cope, Goodman, and I will start here with Sacramento. And I will give, starting with our member Kula Koenig, if you have any questions for the petitioner.
No questions.
Thank you, and we'll go to Ricardo.
I just want to say thank you for coming before the board, and we wish you luck.
Thank you, Ricardo, and we'll go to Debbie.
Hi, Ms. Jimenez. Debbie Veal, professional member. I do have a couple questions for you. So you don't really consider that you have a sober date?
What was that?
You do not consider that you have what is called a sober date, so a date from at which point forward you have no longer taken, you stopped drinking alcohol.
I have not consumed any alcohol since 2017. I don't have the exact date.
Okay. So when you go to AA meetings, quite often in AA meetings, it seems like, what I understand, people stand up and say, "Hi, my name is Debbie, and I'm an alcoholic." So that's not something that you do. You stand up and say, "I'm here," and but you're not an alcoholic.
That is correct. I do not introduce myself as an alcoholic.
And so had you had no other issues with alcohol prior to this one situation? Because your blood alcohol level is extremely high, and usually I've been told, I'm not a expert on this, but I've been told when your blood alcohol level is that high, that it usually indicates that this is not the first time that you have drank excessively. Normally when your blood alcohol is that high and you can actually function enough to drive a car and even put your kid in the car, that you had a habit of drinking in excess in the past.
I wouldn't say I made a habit out of drinking. I did social drink. I would say maybe on the weekends. I would never interfere with my weekdays of work as a professional.
Okay. So then when I look at your application, I see on your application that you don't consider yourself, let me kind of go to the application. So sorry, I move this over here. So the first question on the application is that you're not that you don't have habitual intemperance to alcohol or other drugs. So actually that's the second question. And then there's a question, have you ever been convicted or pled no contest to violation of the law? And I'm not trying to be nitpicky, I'm just trying to understand why you would answer no to some of these questions, because normally in these situations, you've been convicted of DUI, and so normally it seems like people would say, yes, actually I have been convicted or or had a problem with these laws.
I see the questions you're referring to. I think that question, the habitual use of alcohol or other drugs, I didn't make it a habit of drinking or consuming alcohol. I was a social drinker before. It wasn't a habit for me. As far as the other question, if I've ever been convicted, I answered no, only because the way I understood the question was to any other charges besides this one in my particular case.
Okay, and so then the next question is, are you now on probation or administrative violation in this state or any other state? So you are actually on probation, or you've had your license taken away with the Board of Pharmacy. So was that the same thought process you had with that question also?
Yes, my thought process was on probation through the court, which I completed in 2020.
Okay, and then the next question says, have you ever had disciplinary action taken against your license? And I would think, normally I would consider what happened to you disciplinary action, but you said no.
I think I understood that question also as any other disciplinary action besides this one in my case.
Okay. I know sometimes that is a little confusing. Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you for your time.
And then we'll go to Jason.
Hello, Ms. Jimenez. Thank you very much for appearing before the board today. I think most of my questions were answered. I just want to clarify once again, if your probation were terminated early, or even if it were not, would you return to drinking? Do you plan on sobriety for the remainder of your life, or not?
I do plan on staying sober. I don't plan on drinking any alcohol whatsoever. I've definitely learned my lesson, and it's just I've had a better life since.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Jason. And I just have a couple questions. So first, Ms. Jimenez, I mean, obviously, I'm sure everyone wants to end their probation early, but I just kind of want to hear from your own words, what would be your motivation or benefit of ending the probation, like, for your situation? Because it seems like you have a great job, seems like everything is kind of going well for you, so I'm just hoping to hear what your kind of hope for this petition and why you're seeking this early termination.
Well, mostly it's the financial state. It's really expensive, and the control that the probation and program have on my life. I have to work around, checking in on a daily basis, finding a place where I can actually go submit a test. And I would like to travel. I would like to do a lot of traveling with my son without having to be controlled and stay within the area of testing sites. And definitely, I would like to, on the financial burden part of it, I would like to continue my pharmacy career and hopefully further my education in pharmacy.
Thank you. That is all the question I have. Appreciate it, and we'll turn it back to you, Your Honor.
All right, very good. Thank you. Was I mistaken, Dr. O, did we also have Dr. Serpa?
Unfortunately, no, not today. We're very thin on the members.
Okay, not a problem. All right, very good. Thank you for your help with that. Let me go back to Ms. Trauma and ask if you'd like to present any closing arguments in this matter.
Petitioner has been on probation for over 3 years. She is compliant with all the conditions of probation and has provided documentation supporting that she attends AA and completes coursework. She appears to be highly regarded as a pharmacy technician. The people aren't going to take a position on this petition. Thank you.
All right, very good. Ms. Jimenez, this is your petition, and so I'll give you one final opportunity. If there's anything else you'd like to share with the board regarding your petition, now is your time.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. I just want to say thanks again for taking the time for listening in on my case, and I hope that my petition for early termination of probation is granted. I really enjoy being a pharmacy technician. Otherwise, I think I would have surrendered my license, but there is no point in surrendering. I really enjoy what I do, so please take that into consideration. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Ms. Jimenez, we'll consider your petition matter closed. You can remain attending if you'd like. If you'd please turn your mic off. You can also turn your camera off if you'd like, or you can leave for the day. All right?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, next on our agenda, we have the matter of Kaiser Foundation Hospital Inpatient Outpatient Pharmacy. And I believe I read that counsel was going to be representing them. Do we have counsel on the line?
Your Honor, counsel actually withdrew because she wasn't licensed in the state of California. So Kaiser, my understanding, what was filed with OAH is that they're going to be representing themselves here.
Very good. Who do we have this morning for Kaiser then?
This is the moderator. I just promoted Cheryl Spooner, Tiffany Lamb, let's see here, and Jennifer Chavez.
All right. Welcome, ladies. Are you going to have one of you representing the respondent in this case and then have testimony from the other two? How would you like to proceed? Ms. Spooner, can you respond? Ms. Lamb, you're muted and now unmuted. Can you respond? Ms. Chavez. All right, Ms. Spooner, you have your hand up.
Tiffany is unable to unmute. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, it looks like Cheryl might be unable to unmute as well.
Okay. Ms. Chavez, it looks like you've been able to unmute yourself. Can you hear me and can you respond? Okay.
This is the moderator. I'm sorry, Your Honor. We have a Karen as an attending. I just want to check if it might be Karen Tokunaga. All right. So the Karen that we have as an attendee, you should be able to unmute yourself if you could confirm if you are part of the Kaiser team. And Karen, you are unmuted. Karen, are you able to hear us? Okay, so there's no way for me to know if that's our Karen.
Right. So here's what I would suggest doing, at least to be efficient with the board's time, is we pass over the Kaiser Foundation because they are unable to communicate with us right at the second, and we take our next petition. Dr. O, would that be all right with you?
Excuse me,
I was actually going to suggest that, so that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Spooner, did you finally, were you able to communicate with us?
Yes, I was able to connect through the computer rather than the phone.
Okay, very good. In that case, let me put our Kaiser petition back in front of me. And Ms. Spooner, will you be representing the respondent or the petitioner today?
Yes, myself and hopefully Tiffany Lamb will be able to join.
Okay, we do have Ms. Lamb, but she is muted at this time. Ms. Lamb, are you able to unmute and speak to us?
Can you
Is
guys
there
hear
going to
me?
be
Yeah.
also, I'm sorry for the interruption, will there be a video of the petitioners?
I'm not sure. Ms. Spooner, are we not able to see
would-
you by video? Or
We
Ms.
would
Lamb?
really prefer to have a video,
Let's
possible.
see.
There you are. Very good. And Ms. Lamb, are you able to appear by video as well?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Okay,
you.
let me try my video. I can't find an option for my video.
This is the moderator. You should see a start video button right next to your microphone icon at the bottom middle of your
Oh, I
screen.
see it. Can you
And
see me
You
now?
are. Okay, very good.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you. Thank you, Tricia. In that case, let us begin our petition that was filed for early termination of probation by the Kaiser Foundation Hospital Inpatient, Outpatient Pharmacy. This is a petition before the Board of Pharmacy. It is case number 6212, and it is the Office of Administrative Hearings case number 2022-050-114. It is May 11th, 2022, and it is 10:29 a.m. My name is Erin Koch-Goodman, and I am an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings. We are before a committee of the Board of Pharmacy today, and we have Ms. Trauma. If you would identify yourself for the record and provide a summary for me of this matter.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm Deputy Attorney General Nicole Trauma. I'm appearing on behalf of the Attorney General for the people of the state of California under Government Code Section 11522. We're here today on a petition for early termination of probation. The board had filed an accusation against Kaiser for violating laws and regulations governing the practice of pharmacy. Specifically, petitioner failed to maintain effective control and security of the pharmacy, failed to maintain correct inventory of dangerous drugs and controlled substances, and failed to provide pharmacist supervision of a technician. The controlled substance losses reported to the board were significant. For example, they lost over 100,000 tablets of alprazolam, 2 milligrams, 35,000 milliliters of promethazine with codeine, almost 70,000 tablets of hydrocodone 10, 325 milligrams, and 94,000 tablets of hydrocodone 5, 325 milligram tablets. Effective May 15th, 2019, Kaiser's hospital permit was revoked. The revocation was stayed, and they were placed on probation for 6 years with certain terms and conditions. Since going on probation, petitioner has been compliant with the terms and conditions of probation, including quarterly reporting, payment of costs, payment of probation costs, charitable services, remedial education to pharmacists and pharmacist interns, submission of quarterly inventory reconciliation reports, and a payment of a civil penalty. Petitioner has filed the instant petition seeking to terminate probation early. As part of the petition, they have submitted 6 letters of recommendation, all of which were verified by board staff. They also submitted a letter to the board outlining their rehabilitative efforts over the past few years. I would like to mark as Exhibit 1, Your Honor, the petition packet, which includes all the documents described in the that I just described that were attached to the packet, including the notice to hearing, the memorandum to the board, and the underlying decision and order.
Thank you, Ms. Trauma. I have AGO 1 through AGO 048 as the petition packet that I'll mark as Exhibit 1. Ms. Trauma, does that accurately include all the pages that you've identified?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, very good. In that case, Ms. Spooner, Ms. Lamb, which one of you would like to testify first?
I will be going first.
All right, Ms. Spooner, if you would raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do.
All right, very good. If you could state your first and last name and spell them both for the record, please.
Cheryl, Cheryl. Spooner, Spooner.
Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Cheryl Spooner, and I'm the current PIC for pharmacy number 315, which is Kaiser Foundation Hospital Pharmacy in San Francisco. I'm joined here with my colleagues, Min Lam, who's the Kaiser Pharmacy Area Pharmacy Director for Greater San Francisco area, Jennifer Chavez, who's the Kaiser Northern California Pharmacy Compliance, and Tiffany Lam, who is our current inpatient pharmacy supervisor and has worked at this pharmacy since 2016 and was the previous interim PIC before my arrival in October of last year. I appreciate this opportunity to provide information to support the early termination of probation for pharmacy number 315. We have been on probation since May of 2019. At that time, it was designated a 6-year term. We had no prior disciplinary history before this event. The accusation alleged failure to maintain security of a pharmacy, failure to maintain correct controlled substance inventories, and failure to provide pharmacist supervision of a pharmacy, which resulted in thefts by a former employee who was a pharmacy technician. And these were discovered over 5 years ago in 2016. There have been no thefts or significant losses during our probationary period. Upon the theft discovery, there were sweeping remedial measures that were immediately implemented. And Tiffany Lam will now provide the details around the remediation efforts that were performed in the pharmacy.
Ms. Lamb, I'll ask that you raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, if you could state your first and last name and spell them both for the record, please.
Sure. It's Tiffany, Tiffany, Lam, Lam as in Mary.
Very good. Go ahead.
So as Cheryl had pointed out, I am the inpatient pharmacy supervisor for the department, Pharmacy 315 at Kaiser San Francisco. And I've been in my current role for about 6 years now, pretty much since the discovery of the theft. And I do want to point out that although the pharmacy license has been on probation since May of 2019, rehabilitative efforts were made immediately upon the discovery of the theft. So these measures were largely in place within a year, and we've been able to sustain the controls that were implemented prior to the settlement as well as throughout the probation. So in total, it has been over 5 years since the initiation of all of our corrective actions to improve the security of our controlled substances. Some of these measures include systematic changes such as installation of additional cameras to monitor all of the areas where controlled substances are handled, receiving, storage, as well as dispensing. We also, in the discharge pharmacy, installed locked cabinets where it's only badge access by pharmacists only to secure all controlled substances, including C3s to 5s. We also implemented perpetual inventory for all controlled substances in the discharge pharmacy, while the inpatient pharmacy tracks all of our controlled substances via the Pyxis C2 safe. Kaiser also implemented an electronic perpetual inventory system for outpatient prescriptions so that new drug supply orders are generated based on dispensing data. The system is designed to track drug ordering and detect and prevent diversion. And this is a program-wide change. Kaiser also implemented segregation of duties, requiring different pharmacists to order, approve, as well as receive drugs. And again, this is a program-wide change. Locally, we made some workflow changes. We streamlined our inventory receiving process to ensure that a pharmacist confirms the tote count, signs for the delivery, and immediately secure all controlled substances upon receipt. And the pharmacist will also reconcile the controlled substances received against the invoice. We also removed all lockers and personal belongings from the pharmacy. Kaiser also made a lot of improvements around surveillance and monitoring of controlled substances by the PIC, and this is done through updates in policies and procedures, and these are all program-wide changes. For example, the PIC or designee now conducts monthly reconciliation of all controlled substances, acquisitions, and dispositions to identify potential discrepancies. And this is done through Cognos, which is a report that's generated through supplier and vendor information and is validated against our receipts in the C2 safe and or the perpetual inventory log. The PIC or designee also reviews monthly compare reports from the C2 safe, but daily variances that are unresolved are immediately escalated to the manager to address with the employee. We also conduct weekly video surveillance as well as quarterly reviews of access of the pharmacy, the NARC room, as well as the C2 safe. Additionally, there's been significant oversight from program offices, and this includes monthly audits that's conducted by our regional compliance manager to ensure that everything that's been put in place is sustained. And we do also get our annual business practice assessment from regional operations, and this is to make sure that all of our documents are in line. And as such, we've had no theft or significant losses during the probationary period. With the exception of the monthly regional compliance audits, Kaiser does intend to continue sustaining all of these efforts moving forward, regardless of probationary status of the pharmacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lamb. Ms. Spooner, are you going to have testimony from either of the other two people you mentioned?
No.
Okay, very good. In that case, Ms. Trauma, do you have any questions for either Ms. Spooner or Ms. Lamb?
Ms. Lamb, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Ms. Lamb, you are the inpatient pharmacy supervisor, is that correct?
That's correct.
And how long have you held that position?
Almost 6 years, since August of 2016.
And how long have you worked at Kaiser?
Since July of 2005.
And did you serve as interim pick for Kaiser?
I did.
And when was that?
August of 2021 through, I believe, November of 2021.
Okay. But you are not the pharmacist in charge at the time of the violations, correct?
No.
Okay. But you were working at Kaiser at the time of the underlying violations, is that correct?
I joined Kaiser San Francisco, this department, right at the discovery of the theft.
Okay. If you can say, what was the cause of the violations that put Kaiser on probation, if you know?
Yeah. So I was heavily involved in the investigation and also identifying the gaps at the time. I think one of the biggest contribution to the theft is the fact that our location has a discharge pharmacy attached to the inpatient pharmacy. So discharge pharmacy is an outpatient pharmacy, right? And they have different laws. So the C3s and through 5s were not locked up. And it's, as in all outpatient pharmacies. However, because we're all under the same DEA license, the inventory technician ordered narcotics for both departments. And so, the pharmacists that were signing for a lot of the receipts wasn't familiar with the outpatient dispensing and the types of medications that were given to patients and what's needed. So that was changed. That process has changed. Now the two departments are pretty much separate and the ordering process is separate and everything is locked up.
So there were significant drug losses at Kaiser's. Was that all because of a pharmacy technician diverting?
Correct.
Okay. Do you feel like leadership at Kaiser has taken probation very seriously?
Yes, definitely.
And do you feel like your decisions overseeing operations at the pharmacy are supported by other leadership at Kaiser?
Yes.
Now, I understand, based on your testimony and the petition, that Kaiser has made a number of changes since going on probation. What would you say has been the change that has made the biggest impact on the pharmacy operation or practice at Kaiser?
I think a lot of the policy updates has really put more control and surveillance over just the monitoring of the ordering process, the receiving process, right? Now, with the segregation of duties, we can't have one person overseeing the entire ordering to receiving. We also separated, are requiring a pharmacist to oversee the entire process, right? When the the shipment comes, and then moving all controlled substances to a locked space until a pharmacist is able to receive it. And then for sure, the monthly reconciliation that is done by the PIC or the designee is going to be able to identify early on any diversions or potential diversions. I think those are probably the biggest changes and impact that's going to help prevent future diversions from happening.
Thank you for that.
You're
Would you
welcome.
say that maintaining security over drugs has become a priority for the pharmacy at Kaiser?
Yes,
And that's that going to remain a priority for Kaiser if they go off of probation?
yes, absolutely.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Dr. O, if you would ask for questions from the panel members next to you.
Absolutely. We'll start with Pula. Do you have any questions for Dr. Spooner or Dr. Lamb?
Yes, I was wondering, what was your conversation with Kaiser leadership? Specifically, this is probably to Miss, I think it's Miss Lamb, with Kaiser's leadership when these violations occurred. What were the discussions?
Yeah, so right when the theft was identified, um, we pretty much got all of Kaiser leadership in our department for many, many months following the theft. And a lot of it had to do with, trying to figure out how it happened, and where the oversight was and how we can prevent that going forward. I also worked alongside our regional compliance manager to review policies and see, with the changes in policies, would that help prevent future diversions from happening? I think a lot of the conversation wasn't, it really did surround how we can prevent this, right? It was a huge, huge loss. We acknowledge that. And the main thing that Kaiser leadership as well as local management wants is to figure out ways to prevent this from happening at, our location as well as other locations within the Kaiser organization.
And then just another follow-up question. And to your knowledge, did anyone within staff benefit from the diversion?
Other than the technician, to my knowledge, no other staff was either involved or benefited from it.
Okay, we'll go to Ricardo.
Yeah, no questions.
Thank you, Ricardo. Debbie?
Hi, Dr. Lamb, Dr. Spooner. Just a couple questions. That was a lot of medication that the technician took out of the pharmacies, I guess. And so I think it was good that you determined that the individual was very savvy to the process. How did they get all that out without being observed?
Yeah, so one of our remediation efforts was to remove all of our lockers and personal belongings from inside the department. So prior to the theft, we did have personal lockers right alongside where the inventory technician sat. And personal belongings came in and out of the department. And so how she took the medications out was through large shopping bags. So, she would put the drug into the bag and walk out with it.
Because, the promethazine with codeine, it was 35,000 milliliters. That's like, I'm doing quick math here, but it's at least 5,000 bottles, let's say. So I mean, even a large shopping bag and some of the other things, I mean, that's a lot of stuff. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so
So do you think,
the theft occurred over a long period of time. As far as we were able to tell, it was at least 2 years. So that's how the quantities added up to so much.
and did you have, and I think you said you did add cameras so that, so this couldn't reoccur, and you're fairly certain or you're positive it was just the one individual?
To the best of my knowledge, it was the one individual.
Okay. And Ms. Trauma, I just have a question. It looks like they're asking for early termination or probation, and it isn't quite 3 years. It seems like usually early term or probation is like when half of the probation is served, and granted, 3 years will be in a couple days, literally, but I just want to make sure that we are aware of that they are eligible for early termination at this point.
Yes, my understanding is anything over 3 years of probation that they're eligible after 2 years.
But it's like 5 days less than 2 years or 3 years. Did you say 2 years or 3 years? Or was it just 2 years?
Anything? Yes. Anything.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you very much, and thank you for all you guys. It sounds like you guys have really gone through and identified and stopgapped all of everything that you have identified. Hopefully, you have a committee that continues to look at this because people are resourceful and they'll find gaps wherever they can. So, thank you for the efforts you've made so far.
Thank you, Debbie. I have a few questions, but I'll go to Jason first.
Hi, thank you for appearing today. I just want to confirm that you said that you learned from this incident in San Francisco and you expanded these protocols system-wide.
Yeah, I can actually speak to that. Even though I'm new as the PIC for San Francisco, I've been in Kaiser Pharmacy for over 10 years as I was at a different inpatient pharmacy previously. And immediately we saw, once this incident occurred, we saw immediate changes to processes even at our facility. So like Tiffany spoke to, the segregation of duties, so you don't have the same person ordering as well as approving the orders as well as receiving. So there's a whole, different people are involved in all those processes. We saw lots of changes to different policies. We had lots of trainings that came through the Kaiser system that all pharmacy employees had to complete. So it was, not just at San Francisco, it was Kaiser-wide, which I think, helped improve the controlled substance oversight at all Kaiser facilities.
Okay, that was my only question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason. And I just have a few questions, and thanks for coming, Dr. Spooner and Dr. Lamb. I think a few of my fellow members asked a question about how it seems like it was a lot. And could you just confirm for what was the duration again, as far as you can tell?
As far as we were able to tell, at least 2 years.
Okay, and it was just one person is
correct.
Responsible. Okay, so I get a little concerned. Just in your knowledge, if you don't know, it's okay. I get a little concerned if the organization's system-wide problems seems like happens, and then you just, use one person as a scapegoat. And I'm just trying to make sure that I understand fully what happened to the PIC then, because I'm hoping that there was more of attempted to try to make sure that person. What happened to the PIC then?
So as far as I know, the PIC is no longer with the organization. In terms of all the details around why he left and all of that HR issue, I'm not privy to that information, so I don't know. But he is no longer with Kaiser.
Okay. And just, I know you did go over in your openings of some changes that was made to do as a rehabilitative measure. Just hoping to just, in your words, point out a few things again that you've made that is well beyond what a normal pharmacy would be doing in terms of maintaining controlled substances. I just wanted to kind of get some clear, additional measures that you guys implemented.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, just hoping if you can just confirm a few additional measures that you guys took, maybe at your own locations or maybe system-wide at Kaiser Permanente, that you all have done that is additional to what the law may require or what a normal pharmacy would be doing. If you could just kind of point those out again.
Sure. Yeah. So, especially in the discharge pharmacy, all of the narcotics are locked up, including C3s to 5s, and for outpatient pharmacies, that's not required. So that is above, what is required by law for an outpatient pharmacy. Everything is locked up. Everything is by perpetual inventory. So any little variances, even one tablet, et cetera, is reviewed and investigated. So that's one of the biggest things for our discharge pharmacy, and everything is only accessible by the pharmacist. And for our location specifically, we don't allow, personal items inside the pharmacy, not only by our pharmacy staff, but any visitors. So, when they do come in, we do ask them to leave their bags outside in, the manager's office, for example. So that's not allowed in our pharmacy because that was what the means by which the inventory technician had taken medication, and we don't want to kind of allow any of that potential to happen. From a Kaiser-wide system, I think Kaiser does take, controlled substance very seriously, especially because of this incident that, Kaiser's always looking for ways to improve our monitoring system. And so, utilizing technology to enhance our methods, for example, one of the things that we're looking into and we're hoping to implement later this year, it's something called an NDDSS system. And that's an automated system that pretty much validates every single dose that's administered to a patient to what is pulled from Pyxis. And so that's an automated system. For example, if a nurse pulls out 2 tabs of, hydrocodone, acetaminophen, and document 1 tab given, did they also document a tab that's wasted? And if there's any variances, that gets escalated to the nurse managers in real time to address. So we're hoping to implement that later on this year. There's a lot of work done within our pharmacy and anesthesia and throughout the hospital to just make sure that, everyone is judicious about using controlled substances, and if there are any variances in practice or discrepancies, that it's addressed with the individual. So I think those are some of the other things that we are doing within the Kaiser system and in our department.
Are there any trainings that pharmacists or technicians were given that is done for your side, or is that rolled out system-wide possibly?
So like Cheryl said, when the theft had occurred, Kaiser did roll out a lot of training for pharmacists, but locally, as part of our probation, we did send all of our pharmacists and interns to the, theft and diversion training. And annually, our staff is required to take the diversion training and security training every year.
Okay, and then all the employees are aware of the situation and what had happened?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, existing staff at the time, everyone is well aware. We huddled with the team to let them know what happened. And then following the investigation, everybody was involved. And any new staff that comes on board, we do go over all of the probationary terms as well as the history to why we are on probation. The hospital staff and leadership also know that the pharmacy is on probation. And so, everyone is on heightened alert when it comes to controlled substances.
And lastly, and sorry for many questions, just so when the probation is lifted, obviously you as PIC and supervisors don't have to do anything, and you can just go back to the normal and just do, don't maintain all these additional measures. And I know that you two may not be there forever, but as long as you're there, will you be adhering to these changes you made, even if
Yes.
probation is lifted?
Yeah. Other than maybe the monthly audits that our regional manager is coming to do, we do plan on sustaining all the other efforts. A lot of it are through policy and procedural changes, so we have to abide by that anyway. But all the other stuff like not allowing personal belongings into the pharmacy, we're going to continue doing that. All of the narcotics in discharge pharmacy being locked up, we are going to keep doing that. We're not going to take anything out. Oh, sorry, I'm in an office that turns off. So yeah, we do intend to keep all of that going.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for answering all the questions. Appreciate it. Back to you, Judge.
All right. Ms. Trauma, any additional questions for Ms. Lamb or Ms. Spooner?
Yes, just one additional question. You had just mentioned that you won't be doing the monthly audits any longer. Why is that?
That's the monthly audit by our regional compliance manager, but all of our monthly reviews of acquisitions and dispositions, all of that continues. That's part of our policies. As the manager, I review every single invoice that comes in to make sure that it makes its way to the C2 safe. Our discharge manager also does the same thing for his department, making sure that anything that they receive also makes it to the perpetual inventory. Cheryl as the PIC will also do her monthly audits to make sure that everything is being done. So locally, we are going to audit maintain auditing, but the regional audits will likely stop.
I understand. Thanks for clarifying. Your Honor, I don't have any further questions.
All right, thank you. Ms. Trauma, I'll give you the floor if you'd like to make any closing arguments in this matter.
Very briefly, Kaiser's been compliant with the terms and conditions of probation. They've taken several steps to address the issue of control and security of the drugs at the pharmacy. The people don't take a position as to Kaiser's request. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Spooner, would you like to make any closing remarks on behalf of the petitioner, Kaiser, in this matter?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. As stated in our petition for early termination of probation submitted in August of last year, we have completed all the terms of the settlement agreement. Additionally, we have had multiple board inspections over the past several years with no findings, which demonstrates our effectiveness in the pharmacy's remedial efforts. Our hospital pharmacy is currently operating in a manner consistent with all regulatory requirements and has established sustainable processes to monitor compliance and maintain security of the pharmacy and its dangerous drugs. Therefore, we respectfully request for your consideration in removing the probationary status of pharmacy number 315. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. That will conclude on the petition for early termination of probation on behalf of the petitioner, Kaiser Foundation Hospital, Inpatient, Outpatient Pharmacy. Ladies, I'll excuse you as both witnesses, and if you'd like to remain listening to the board meeting, you're more than welcome if you would just mute yourself. If not, please be safe out there.
Thank you.
Dr. O, I want to make sure that I'm conscious of everyone's need for breaks. Are we still doing okay and would like to go on to the third petition, or would you like to take a short recess?
Okay, we'll take a quick 10-minute break, and we'll be back at 11. Yeah, let's be 11:15. 11:15.
All right, very good. Thank you.
We will take a roll call really quick just to be safe, and I'll hand it back to you. So just starting with Kula.
Present.
Kula Ricardo.
Ricardo Sanchez here.
Thank you, Ricardo. And Debbie.
Debbie Veal here.
Karen San Diego. And back to you, Jason. Are you there? There you are.
I'm here.
All right, Jason. And then back to you, Your Honor.
Very good. Thank you so much. Good morning. We are here in the petition for reduction in penalty by Mel F. Hertzog. This is before the California Board of Pharmacy, and it is case number 6081. It is Office of Administrative Hearings, case number 2022050110. My name is Aaa Meetings, and I'm the administrative law judge that's been assigned to conduct this hearing under the provisions of Business and Professions Code Section 4309C. Mr. Hertzog, what that means is that the board does not have a quorum today. This would be considered a committee of the board. And so I will write a proposed decision, but that proposed decision will go back to the full board for them to make a final decision in this case.
Okay.
Very good, thank you. I do see that you're here, Mr. Hertzog. Let me do this because I believe you'll be testifying on your own behalf. Let me swear you in before we get started.
Okay.
If you raise your right hand, please. Do you
Yeah.
solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, very good. That being said, I have, I'll have you do, Ms. Trauma, your appearance and a summary, but let me simply ask first, I have a petition packet of AGO 001 through AGO 166, and I will mark that as Exhibit 1. Does that contain, and is that the entirety of the petition in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. In that case, if you would, for the record, please identify yourself and give us a summary of the matter.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. I'm Deputy Attorney General Nicole Trauma. I'm appearing on behalf of the Attorney General for the people of the state of California under Government Code Section 11522. We're here today on a petition for reduction of penalty. The underlying accusation against Petitioner was with regard to violation of laws and regulations governing the practice of pharmacy. The violations were found at the pharmacy Los Banos Drug Co., where Petitioner was pharmacist in charge, president, and majority owner. And this was during a board investigation and inspections. They found that Petitioner failed to maintain self-assessments, failed to comply with the quality assurance program, failed to properly maintain facilities, space, fixtures, and equipment, excuse me, failed to provide patient consultation, failed to comply with patient-centered labeling requirements, failed to provide adequate interpretive services, failed to maintain adequate compounding records, failed to properly supervise compounding of drugs, failed to exercise corresponding responsibility, excessive furnishing of controlled substances, and gross negligence. An investigation revealed questionable practices as to the dispensing of controlled substances. Between 2012 and 2015, Petitioner's Pharmacy was the 6th top dispenser of prescriptions for a doctor whose medical license was revoked due to illegal prescribing of controlled substances. There were multiple red flags surrounding these prescriptions that Petitioner and his pharmacy filled. Effective November 14th, 2018, Petitioner's pharmacist license was revoked. The revocation was stayed, and his license was put on probation for 3 years, subject to terms and conditions. Petitioner has complied with his quarterly reporting, payment of costs, and completion of remedial education requirements. However, Petitioner's probation has been tolled since September of 2019. He is required to be employed for a minimum of 40 hours per month per his probationary conditions. His request today is to remove the requirement that he must work in a pharmacy for a minimum of 40 hours per month. With his instant petition, he has submitted continuing education certificates. He's also submitted 5 letters of recommendation, all of which have been verified by board staff, and a personal statement. I'd like to mark, Your Honor, Exhibit 1 is the petition packet, and that includes all of the documents I just described that were attached to his petition, the notice of hearing, the memorandum to the board, and the underlying decision and order. The board members and petitioner have been provided with a copy of the same set of documents, and this redacted petition has also been uploaded to the OAH's exhibit platform case lines. It's now petitioner's opportunity to address the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hartzog, I'm going to give you an opportunity now to provide whatever testimony you would like to the board. The concentration at this point would be upon rehabilitation and an explanation of why you are filing this petition at this time.
Okay, thank you, Aaron, and thank you, board members, for hearing my petition. Bear with me a little bit. I'm recovering from thyroid cancer surgery and therapy and treatment, and my voice is pretty raspy. It has affected my speech somewhat, but bear with me. I'll do the best I can. Getting back to the requirements of the probation, I was able to fulfill all my obligations for the probation, as you can see, except for the working part. And the problem I ran into with the working, I was working for a local pharmacy until he was informed by his wholesaler, which was McKesson Drugs, that they would no longer provide controlled drugs to them if I continued to work there. So they let me go September 1st, 2019. And then I found out that also they were unable to attain a liability insurance policy because of my probation. So for that reason, they let me go. I've also tried to work at several relief pharmacy companies. Same situation, my probation has been prohibitive. And I've also applied at several of the chain drug stores and turned down by those also. The other thing I want to try to impress upon you is that I've worked really, really hard with my continuing education classes with a real emphasis on dealing with controlled drugs. I had a very, very busy pharmacy. I filled 500 prescriptions or more a day, 6 days a week, 52 weeks a year. And I did that for a lot of years. Some of the situations that came up in my problems with the requirements of the state board were basically a negligence on my part or laziness, whatever you might. I was so busy trying to take care of my customers, I laxed in a few situations. But I've truly worked hard at being a good pharmacist. I took good care of my customers. My customers really, really appreciated how hard I worked for them. I would go down at night to fill prescriptions. I'd go down on Sundays and take care of people that were being discharged from hospitals. And I thought I really did a good job of taking care of my customers. And I ended up with a lot of controlled drugs. And it wasn't that I was soliciting them. What was going on in Los Banos at that time was the chain drug stores basically were refusing to fill them, and they were just telling them to come to me. So I would run my cures reports make sure they were in line with their time. And I knew most of the doctors, and I took care of them. Now, the doctor that was in question that lost his license, it's, they don't quite paint the whole picture there. I did fill some prescriptions, 142 to be exact, which accounted for less than 0.01% of my prescriptions that I filled. And as soon as we found out that this doctor was having some severe problems with the AMA, we stopped filling him completely. And I really thought that I'd done the right thing there, and I had got everything under control as far as compliance with state board requirements for taking care of scheduled items. I would like to have this work requirement rescinded because of the fact that I've had, under my probation, I've been unable to work. Also, with health issues, I've been unable to work. But my health is better now, and I'd like to finish my career with a clear license. And I would like to work somewhat because of my probation and the situation with McKesson. The sale of my drugstore did not go well. And I'm finding I'm going to be having to work for probably quite some time to maintain my life. So if I could get my license cleared and think about it, I've been working for over 45 years as a pharmacist. And in lieu of the requirements for the work, I've taken extra CE courses, and with a huge emphasis on dealing with controlled drugs. In fact, I took a 13-course certification program to become a pain management specialty pharmacist. So I think in light of all this, I would appeal to your sense of hard work and dedication to my profession, that I will continue to strive to be a better pharmacist than I was before, and would appreciate the work requirement to be rescinded for my probation. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Ms. Truman, do you have questions for Mr. Herzog?
I do. Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Herzog, you are the pharmacist in charge and owner of Los Banos Pharmacy, correct?
That is correct.
How long did you own that pharmacy?
I owned it for a little over 10 years. I worked there for over 40 years.
And I believe you mentioned somewhere in your petition you worked 12-hour days, 6 days a week when you were the pharmacist in charge. Is that right?
That is correct. Sometimes more.
And you were filling roughly 500 prescriptions per day?
That is correct.
And were you the only pharmacist?
I was the only pharmacist, yes.
Wow, that's a lot for just one pharmacist.
Yes, it is. I was also paying off the previous owner of the store, so money was tight.
So given the volume of the scripts that you were receiving, would you say that the majority of your shift was spent filling prescriptions?
Oh, definitely. From the time I got there a little after 7 till I got home at 7:30, 8 o'clock, I was filling prescriptions, yes.
And would you say you really didn't have time to keep up on other pharmacy operations?
I would say that would probably be accurate. It's not a great excuse, but it is. It kind of is what it is.
When did you sell Los Banos?
In 2019.
And why did you sell it?
Basically because I could not provide controlled substances because of McKesson. I just felt that wasn't fair to my customers. and I had a younger guy that was interested in buying it. And I was 68 years old, and I was getting tired. And it sounded like a good time to sell.
Okay. Did your decision to sell have anything to do with you not being able to find a consultant?
Say that again?
Did your decision to sell the pharmacy have anything to do with not being able to have a consultant, which was required under the
No,
probation?
no, actually, I'd found a consultant just
But
previous to selling the drugstore, and he was on board, but I'd already decided to sell the drugstore. So no, I had acquired a consultant,
okay. And
and he
you
was
had
approved by the state board.
okay, you had stated that the sale did not go well. What did you mean by that?
It was based on his ability to pay me as he went along. And because of COVID and I don't know, I'm not going to get personal about it, but I don't think he did a very good job of running the drugstore. So he has not been able to make payments as we agreed upon.
I see. In your petition, you stated the reason you wanted to remove the work requirement is because no one will allow you to work because of the wording in the disciplinary action. What did you mean that no one will allow you to work?
Well, anybody connected with McKesson will not hire me. I've tried to be hired by relief pharmacy companies, and I was turned down by two, and one I never heard from them. And then I checked into the chain drug stores, and the first question was regarding disciplinary action by the board, and then my age is a factor also.
Okay, so how many jobs have you applied for since going on probation?
Well, probably 3 or 4.
And when was the last time you applied for a job as a pharmacist?
Well, it's been a couple of years.
And where's the proof that you've applied for these jobs?
I have no proof.
Why didn't you submit any proof that you've applied for these jobs and have been rejected as part of your petition?
I just didn't think about that.
You didn't think it was going to be important for the board to see all of your efforts that you've made and
Well, I'm kind of old school. I come from a different era, and I just my belief is my word is my word, and that's what I'm going on.
do you understand that the work requirement is a standard term and condition of probation that all probationers are required to do?
I understand that,
Okay,
and I was working,
so why
and
should you get to set out the work requirement while other probationers have to do it?
I'm just asking. I think I've worked, like I said, I've worked for over 45 years. I don't know if my working 40 hours a month is going to make a difference in what I do. I know what's should be done. I'm very up to date on the new laws, the new regulations, and the controlled drug problem. And I think I'm ready to work.
So you do realize that your probation has been told since September of 2019, correct?
Yes,
Okay, and you realize that that means that none of the time that you've been out of work will count towards a reduction of your probationary period.
well, how do you mean by that?
Since you've only worked from roughly November 2018 to September of 2019, correct?
Right, right.
Okay. And since September 2019, your probation has been told. Do you understand what that means?
I mean, my understanding is that that aspect of it, I still have to complete, right?
That any period of probation while your probation is told does not count towards the 3 years of probation. So under my calculations, you still, even if this petition was granted, you would still have over 2 years of probation to complete.
Why doesn't the rest of my probation, the work I put in, the quarterly reports, the CE, that doesn't count?
I think
Yeah, Mr. Hartzog, I'm going to stop you from asking questions. I think the question was very specific as to the term of working 40 hours. If you have further questions, you can contact probation monitor with the board. Ms. Trauma, do you have any further questions for Mr. Hartzog?
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes. So if the board grants your petition today and eliminates this work requirement, do you think this is going to open up doors for you to get a job?
Well, not if I'm still on probation.
Okay. So 40 hours a month is roughly what, 10 hours a week or so?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Do you think that that is going to inhibit employers from wanting to hire you because of the minimum work requirement?
I don't know.
In the attachment to your petition, you described your struggles with your health. Did that impact your ability to practice during the time period?
It did for a while, yes. I had 3 different surgeries, 2 different treatments, and I'm just getting back to strength in the last year or so.
And you believe now you're at a position where you are healthy enough to return to work?
I'll put it this way, I work at a hardware store now because I haven't been able to get work as a pharmacist, so yeah, I'm able to work, yes.
In your personal statement that was filed with the petition, you stated that you believed you were doing a good job with the controlled substance prescriptions. Do you still believe that?
I believe I was doing all I could do under the circumstances that I was working under. I used the cure system religiously. I truly believe, other than my little lax on paperwork, but as far as keeping my customers in line with day supplies and that type of thing, I thought I did a very good job. Yes.
Okay. Now, you stated that the other violations were because you were not up to date on new laws. Which violations were you referring to that you weren't up to date on new laws?
Well, the labeling requirements, and I got that fixed right away. But I took care of all that stuff right away and was in compliance. The some of the language interpretation requirement. We've been taking care of Portuguese, Italian, Hispanic, English for years and years. And I thought I was taking care of all the languages that were pertinent to my locale.
But some of these weren't new laws as far as patient consultations.
Okay, I missed one consultation in a day that I filled over 500 prescriptions. One. That was it. That was all that was recorded, and that's all that was reported.
Now, according to the accusation in the underlying matter, your pharmacy was previously inspected by the board and they notified you of deficiencies in pharmacy facilities, maintenance, and operations. Is that right?
Could you be more specific?
They inspected you several years prior to your accusation being filed and they notified you of deficiencies in the operations, such as location of drugs being so close to the bathroom, deficiencies in the QAA, patient consults, deficiencies with the sink.
Okay. Those facilities have been there for over 70 years. I mean, I was a little bit stymied by the physical location of the store itself and how it was built. You know, the sink was, for one thing, we hardly ever used the sink, so it probably wasn't, but it was operational. It worked fine. The access to the only way people can get to the bathroom is to go right next to the pharmacy, which has been that way for, like I said, 70 years. And I did make an adjustment and put a door there. I did take care of things.
In your petition, you stated that you think you are a victim of the opioid crisis crackdown by the state board. Can you please explain to the board members why you were a victim?
Well, if you remember that during that time, how many independent pharmacies were went through the same thing I did, and it just felt like we were being kind of singled out, and especially the older guys like myself, that we came from a different era, and we prized our practice of taking care of our customers as priority, and I can see it's just a different mentality now, and I get it now. I do. I get it. I didn't get it back then.
So do you believe that your conduct may have in any way led to illegitimate prescriptions for controlled substances being released into the public?
Maybe from that one doctor, but other than that, no.
Okay. What have
And
you?
I took care of that as soon as we found out that he was that he was questionable. We stopped filling them, and we only filled 140 prescriptions. Like I said, over a year and a half time. That's not even one a week. It's the numbers weren't what you call really high.
What would be really high in your opinion?
Well, if I was filling 40, 50 a day, or and I admit I was wrong with those. I admit that. That was professional judgment that I was wrong on, but I thought I did a really good job otherwise.
You indicated in your attachment to the petition you've taken many courses on controlled substances. Did any of those courses cover corresponding responsibility?
Oh, definitely. Yes. And I
Okay.
understand that. I understand it now.
What does that term mean to you, corresponding responsibility?
It means that if I fill a prescription from a doctor that is negligent, or that I'm as responsible as he is.
Can you tell me some of the red flags that you can think of that you need to think of when you're dispensing controlled substances?
Oh, definitely. Are they paying cash? Are they from the town? Is it an out-of-state or out-of-town doctor? Is it a high dose? Are there combinations that are red flags, like with, excuse me, benzodiazepines and that type of thing? Sleeping pills combinations. Yes, those are some of them. Yeah.
And what would you say that you've learned from the disciplinary action that was taken against your license?
Well, I've learned that you've got to be very, very careful and less trusting, and just take more time to look at the prescriptions, where they're coming from, who's getting them. I hate to judge people on their appearance, or who they seem to be, but just be more wary of people and their intentions, and try and figure out, separate the good ones from the bad ones.
Do you feel like you've taken personal responsibility for the conduct that led to the disciplinary action?
I think so.
Okay, what do
I
you
think
feel responsible for?
I feel responsible for the prescriptions that I filled that might have been maybe high in dose. But then again, you know, I rely on the doctor's judgment there also. And yeah, it's just a different world we're living in. And I'm much more aware of what's going on now than I was back then.
I noticed that you had submitted 5 recommendation letters with your petition. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct, yes.
And I noticed that when these letters were verified, 3 of the 5 authors stated they didn't know why you were disciplined by the board. Did you tell the authors why you were disciplined?
I didn't go into specifics. I said it was for the state board that I was had a situation with the state board. I
Why
did
didn't
not go.
Why didn't you tell them about the specifics of the disciplinary action?
I basically assumed that they knew. It was not a secret.
If the board grants your petition, how will you ensure that you're going to be compliant with pharmacy laws going forward?
Well, like I stated in my my letter with the petition, I would be open to as many inspections as the board feels necessary or they would like to do, or whenever they would like to do them. I would be open to inspections anytime. And I'd be willing to notify them of my work schedule. And in fact, I would encourage them to come and watch me work.
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Dr. O, would you like to ask for questions of Mr. Hortzak?
Absolutely. We'll start with Kula.
Sure, Mr. Hartsock, I'm wondering, what method did you use to apply for the jobs?
I went online.
So then there is a record of you applying for these jobs? Is there a record?
I do not have a record, no.
Did you receive a confirmation when you sent in your application?
I don't remember. I'm not real computer savvy. I mean, it was a miracle that I'm in front of you today on this WebEx thing. I'm not very savvy. I'd be honest with you. I'm not even sure if I completed the forms correctly.
Okay. And my next question is, I heard you mention several times the different world. How do you plan to operate in this different world as a pharmacist?
Well, I try and keep aware of all the new regulations, current and new regulation. Excuse me one sec. I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit. I would just work really hard to be compliant with the new regulations, the new thinking, and just try to be a good pharmacist. And with my customers, my patients as my #1 priority for their safety.
Thank you, Kula. Ricardo?
No questions.
Thank you, Ricardo. Debbie?
Hi, I just have a couple questions. I just want to understand what you're asking for today. You're asking for us to remove the one piece of your probation terms, and that's the one that requires the 40 hours per month of work. But other than that, everything else remains in place?
Yes, I'm willing to complete the rest of it as required, yes.
And so as the Attorney General asked you, so if we remove that, part of probation is demonstrating that that you've learned and you can work in a pharmacy, understanding, what you did wrong. You've now fixed it and you demonstrated in a pharmacy. So how would you propose that you could demonstrate that to us if it's not in kind of our standard process that you would do it by working in a pharmacy?
My understanding was that I would be able to, without this work requirement, that my probation would be over. But apparently that's not the situation. So I don't know how I would do that. My problem is that I'm not able to find employment as a pharmacist at this point in time. And I was hoping that we could reduce that requirement, that the rest of my probation would be fulfilled and I would have a clear license, but apparently that's not the case.
So you were actually hoping by removing that requirement, then in effect you're asking us to allow early termination of your probation and everything will be okay. That's
right.
Really what you want.
Right, exactly.
Okay. With these prescriptions from this doctor that was writing controlled drugs, you said that you checked cures, that in Los Baños there weren't very many specialists, so you routinely ran into issues or prescriptions were coming in from outside the normal mileage range. Did you call the doctors, and specifically this doctor, to understand what was being treated and the methodology of his or her treatment?
Actually, I did talk to Dr. Brown on several occasions. The problem is I did not document that. My documentation was not real good because of my time constraints. We were so busy that I'd get on the phone and talk to him, and that's kind of where I got into trouble.
Okay, so a couple times you've talked about being too busy and you cut corners, and so I hope you understand why that's why it is so important for us to see you practice in a pharmacy appropriately. So that's what makes removing that 40 hours probably problematic, but that's to be determined at a different time. You were the owner of that pharmacy, Los Baños Drugstore? Okay, so you were the PIC president and the whole kit and caboodle, and worked your 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. That was your pharmacy?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Did you, I know you said that you went online from your home, I think, and applied. Did you ever go talk to any of the independent pharmacists in the general area that perhaps you had worked with to just see if you could friend to friend, maybe put some hours in their pharmacy, like maybe just 10 hours a week? Did you ever try to do that?
There was only one independent pharmacy in Los Baños. That was me.
What's the next town over?
It's about 45 miles away.
Okay, so that was more than you were willing to do. So in Los Baños, there's you and then chain stores.
Yes.
And going beyond that, that was beyond the area that you were willing to travel to fulfill the work requirement.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming today and for your testimony. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. And Jason?
Hi, Dr. Hotzog. Thank you for appearing today. Just if you could remind me again, by your accounting, when was the last time that you applied for a job?
Probably a year ago with a relief pharmacy company out of Fresno.
Okay, and before that?
Probably a year and a half.
Okay, okay. To me, it's just not clear exactly, you know, if this problem exists still, if you haven't applied within the last year, year and a half. How are you sure that you're not unhirable?
Well, I don't want to travel an hour away to work. I mean, I just don't want to. I'm too old for that. I want to work locally. And there's not much available locally. There just isn't. The one store that I just found out yesterday that he's selling out to one of the chains. So it's going to be gone at the end of this month. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. No further questions.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason. And Mr. Herzog, can you just explain one more time? I'm sorry, I'm trying to understand the wholesaler situation. If you could just explain what they were telling you, why you cannot work.
They would not, if I worked at a drugstore, they would not provide that drugstore with controlled drugs. I was told that by their representative and also the guy that was in charge of their scheduled drugs. And that was from McKesson in Sacramento.
Okay. Did you consult an attorney at all, just to kind of confirm what they're telling you?
You know, I didn't. I'd almost gone broke with attorney fees just fighting for my probation. So, I mean, I was tapped out.
I understand. Okay. All right. Thank you for coming, and thanks for sharing your story.
Okay. Thank you for hearing me.
Ms. Truma, do you have any further questions for Mr. Hartsock at this time?
I don't, Your Honor.
All right, very good. In that case, Ms. Truma, I will give you the floor for closing arguments.
Yes, Your Honor. The work requirement is a standard term and condition of probation. It is an important requirement because it provides the board with an opportunity to monitor the probationer and determine if he can perform the functions and duties of a pharmacist in a competent manner. It also prevents the pharmacist from merely sitting out the probation, thereby avoiding the necessity of demonstrating competence and complying with pharmacy practice-related probation conditions. Many pharmacists go on probation every year and can find a job. Petitioner claims he searched for jobs and has been rejected. Unfortunately, he has not provided any documentation to support that claim. He also stated he's only applied for 3 to 4 jobs since going on probation, and he hasn't applied for a job as a pharmacist in about a year. Excuse me. Petitioner spent less than a year in a non-told status on probation. During that time, there were some compliance issues with regard to finding a consultant. Unfortunately, he's been told since September 2019, which makes it very difficult for the board to fully access and assess his compliance with the obligations of probation and compliance with state and federal laws and regulations, which is an important issue given the violations in his underlying case. Recall that petitioner is on probation for a variety of offenses relating to his actual practice as a pharmacist: self-assessment, compliance with QA program, failing to maintain facilities, labeling requirements, inadequate interpretive services, compounding violations. This is in addition to the corresponding responsibility violations. And I'm not entirely sure he is taking responsibility for all the violations in this case. In his petition, he stated that he was a victim of the board's crackdown on opioids and that some of the other violations were because he wasn't keeping up to date on new regulations. But he was warned a few years prior about many of the deficiencies that led to his discipline. It's great that he has taken so many CEs. This is exactly what we want to see out of a petitioner. But now we need to see him implement that knowledge into his actual practice. And we need to be able to monitor him as a pharmacist in order to do that. So if the board gets rid of the work requirement, I'm not sure the board can adequately monitor him. Petitioner has requested that this work requirement be taken away from his terms and conditions of probation, but he'll still be on probation for another 2 years to fulfill his status. I don't see anything changing for petitioner. He did not file a petition for early termination of probation. He filed a petition to modify a term of probation. That is the petition that's before the board today. For those reasons, the people oppose this petition. Thank you.
Mr. Hartsock, I'll give you one final opportunity to provide any last statements to the board at this time regarding your petition for reduction in penalty.
Okay, well, I feel like I was either misinformed or I didn't quite understand what I was petitioning for, because I thought I was in full fulfillment of all the other requirements except for this. And I would have filed for early an end to my probation early based on this, but based on what I'm hearing, it doesn't sound good anyway. I feel sad about it. I do, and I was hoping that we could work this out, but I know basically I just want to tell you I'm working hard to get this thing straightened out, and I will continue to do so. And I appreciate your time. I appreciate your hearing my story, and I appreciate your understanding. And I
Mr.
will.
Hartsock?
Yes.
Mr. Hartsock, before you finish, assume for a moment, if you will, that this petition is for a termination of your probation. What is it that you would tell the board at this time that would justify or support a termination of your probation?
Well, I think I've already said what I came to say, and I'll continue to work towards fulfilling my probation obligation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Mr. Hartsock will excuse you as a witness and regarding your petition. And if you'd like to remain as a part of the meeting, you can. If you would mute yourself, we would appreciate that. Thank you for your time today. Dr. O, what would you like to do? It is 12:03 and we have one additional petition remaining.
Yeah, we're gonna go for lunch. And then, just hold on one second. We're gonna just move forward, since we just have one left. So we'll bring her on and then we'll go to lunch after.
Okay, very good. In that case, Ms. Gonzalez, I want to make sure that you're here and that we can see you.
Excuse me, Your Honor. President O, I do need a quick 5 minutes.
Oh, okay, very good.
Okay.
It's 12:04 on my clock. Dr. O, would you like to come back at 12:15? That's 11 minutes.
Yeah, 12:15 is fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Gonzalez, I see you. Let me make sure I can hear you as well. Can you speak to me?
Yes, could you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine. And Ms. Trumma, can you hear her okay? You're muted.
Sorry about that. I can hear her just fine. Thank you.
Okay, very good. All right, Ms. Gonzalez, please come back to us at 12:15.
Okay, then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, just waiting on one member, but we'll do a roll call with Kula?
Present.
Thank you, Kula. And Debbie?
Present.
Jason?
Here.
Thank you. Just waiting on one member. So we'll just hold a little bit, sorry.
Dr. O, do you have board counsel
We
up
do.
at the?
Yeah, Eileen's here. And actually, our member is just walking in, so we're in good, no worries. And Ricardo?
Yeah, Ricardo Sanchez, public member.
Perfect. All right, we are all ready for the last petitioner.
Okay, very good. Thank you. We have our fourth petition this morning. It's a petition for reinstatement that was filed by Ashley Marie Gonzalez. This is before the California Board of Pharmacy, case number 5501, and the Office of Administrative Hearings, case number 2022050126. It is May 11th, 2022, and it is 12:17 p.m. My name is Erin Koch-Goodman, and I've been assigned to assist the committee of the board to hear this matter. That is under the Business and Professions Code section 4309, subsection C. I have before me a packet that I will mark as Exhibit 1. It is a packet that is designated AGO 001 through AGO 031. Why don't I have an introduction for the record, Ms. Trauma, on behalf of yourself, and then an overview of this case for me, please, and a confirmation that the 31 pages is what we have as the petition.
Yes, Your Honor, that is a confirmation on that. Good afternoon. I'm Deputy Attorney General Nicole Trauma. I'm appearing on behalf of the Attorney General for the people of the state of California under Government Code Section 11522. We're here today on a petition for reinstatement of a pharmacy technician license. The underlying accusation was based on petitioner's May 15th, 2015 conviction for reckless driving, child cruelty, assault with a deadly weapon, her vehicle, and criminal threats with intent to terrorize. Petitioner Gonzalez was sentenced to 6 months in jail, was placed on 5 years probation in the criminal court. The circumstances were that on October 30th, 2014, she was involved in a head-on collision with another vehicle. She saw another woman driving her estranged husband's vehicle, chased the vehicle, honked at it, bumped at the rear several times, and eventually made a U-turn into the driver's lane, causing a collision. Petitioner's mother and her 2-year-old child were passengers in the vehicle. Petitioner claimed she was in the process of reconciling with her estranged husband and wanted to know why another woman was driving his vehicle. Effective November 4th, 2016, her pharmacy technician license was revoked by default. She has filed the instant petition for reinstatement of her technician license, and included in her packet are 6 letters of recommendation, all verified by board staff, and proof that all felony convictions were reduced to misdemeanors, formal probation was terminated, and her conviction was set aside pursuant to Penal Code Section 1203.3. The petition packet that you identified, Your Honor, includes the petition, the 6 letters of recommendation, and the attachments, as well as the memorandum to the board, the notice of today's hearing, and the underlying decision and order. The board members and petitioner have been provided with a copy of the same petition, and the redacted petition has been uploaded to OAH's online exhibit platform, Case Lines. It is now petitioner's opportunity to address the board. Thank you.
Ms. Trauma, do you by chance have the date in which the conviction was dismissed under 1203.4?
If you give me just a minute, it's part of her petition packet. I believe she has a copy of the order.
That's okay. I can look for it. I just thought if you had it offhand, that's fine. I'll find it myself in the Exhibit 1. Thank you. That being said, then, Ms. Gonzalez, we have you before us. Let me ask you to raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, very good. The floor is yours. I don't know if you were present for previous testimony, but the board is looking for rehabilitation primarily, and that's where we'd like you to focus. They do have your petition packet and have reviewed that. So I'll cede the floor to you.
Thank you for hearing my case today. This happened 2014. The judge finished my hearing in 2015 when I did the conviction. The whole jail thing I didn't do. They had me do work release. That's like community service. I did that. Anger management / parenting classes. I did that right away within those, before my 5 years of felony probation was done with. I finished my felony probation 2019. I'm a single mom of now 6 kids. It's been hard. I learned my lesson with everything that happened. Now with the time being, how everything went up, especially with having 6 kids. This was my career, and I want to go back to having my career so I could provide for my 6 kids. They are all with me in my care. The pharmacy manager for Rite Aid, where I was working, he said if I was able to go ahead and get my license back and everything, that I have a job to go back over there. I think that's pretty much it. I've been in and out of having jobs. It's hard, like having somebody reliable take your kids to and from school while working and paying them, especially with minimum wage pay. And babysitters are a lot of money, or daycare. So I had to quit my job, especially when the whole COVID started, to go ahead and just be a homemaker and taking care of my kids, taking them to and from school. I had to get on assistance, like the state assistance, to go ahead and provide, like to pay my rent for housing right now. I don't like doing that. I'd rather go back to work. So I'm able to go ahead and pay for that and my kids' stuff and everything like that. I think that's it.
All right, Ms. Truman, do you have questions for Ms. Gonzalez?
I do, thanks. Ms. Gonzalez, you had your license revoked by default due to a conviction. Can you explain to the board the incident that led to the conviction?
The incident on October 30th, 2014? Yes. That day, I seen my husband's car being driven by another woman. I snapped at that moment. I was not on any substance or anything like that. Me and my husband were actually trying to work it back out. And a couple months before that happened, I want to say like June-ish or July, I had a topical pregnancy. So me being a mother, and when you have that happen to you, you have your emotions are like postpartum. So I felt like emotional. I ended up snapping. I blacked out pretty much when that happened. I was actually, I don't remember honking or anything, how it states right here. I know my mom said that when it happened, when you're in like the rage of like being mad, I just like, I kept ramming her car, which is my husband's, so pretty much mine too. I ended up going head on with her. I didn't do a U-turn, so I don't know why it states that I did a U-turn. She ended up going into my lane, and thankfully, not that I did end up colliding with her. It was right near a church, and you know, like where people are walking on the sidewalk, how you could pull in. There was old people walking, so if we didn't collide, she would have ran over those people. The police got there and asked what happened because I'd never been in trouble before. And it was just being like in love and just snapping.
Do you feel
I
like
learned my
you had
lesson.
anger management issues?
Not really. I feel like I had my emotions just take over me. And I got like so upset.
But
Which
you
I never
had
got
never
that
done
upset before.
anything, excuse me, you had never done anything like this before, chased someone with your car, right?
No.
Okay. Do you regret the way that you handled the situation?
Yes.
What exactly do you regret?
The whole thing of following her and hitting the car and everything, especially having my daughter with me and my mom.
Are you still married?
No.
What would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned from your conviction?
Don't when your spouse is cheating, I'm sorry. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. Just, it's better to walk away.
How do you manage your emotions going forward?
I think of my kids because I need to provide for them because I'm the main provider for them. I just try not to let anything get to me.
And do you feel like you have the emotional issues under control now?
Yeah. After learning my lesson, especially that costing my career and everything.
Now, on November 22nd, 2019, the court reduced your felony charges to misdemeanors. Is that right?
Yeah.
And is that also when you had your conviction dismissed?
They were dismissed on that day.
That's my question to you. Were they dismissed the same day that they reduced the felonies to misdemeanors?
That's what I didn't understand. My lawyer was saying that they went ahead and reduced them to misdemeanors, and I would be able to go ahead and get them taken off my record. But I didn't know if I had to wait or...
According to the Kern County letter that you provided, it indicates here that your conviction was dismissed under 1203.3. Is that correct?
Was that from the probation officer?
The Kern County Probation Department in your petition.
Hold on a minute. Yeah. then.
Is that your understanding?
Yes, but I'm no longer felony convicted.
Okay. As part of your criminal probation, you were required to complete parenting and anger management classes, correct?
Yes.
And how many hours were those courses?
Oh my goodness. They were like the max. I was going for like almost a year and a half, I think.
And what would you say that you learned from those courses?
Think about what you get mad about, or like take a breather, take a breath, like how we teach our kids. Try not to let our anger get the best of us. If we feel angry, just step away, count a couple minutes, and then just not be mad.
Why do you want to get your license back?
To provide for my kids.
And do you plan to go back to Rite Aid and work under pharmacy manager Patel if you get your license back?
Yes.
Would you be willing to complete a term of probation so that the board could monitor you?
Yes.
Okay. And why should the board give you another chance?
Because I need to provide for my kids. Everybody makes mistakes. I know I'm not the only one. I did something without thinking. I would be able to get off assistance to go ahead and have a better life for my kids. It's been years since this whole ordeal.
How will you ensure that you're not going to have another emotional outburst or another incident like the one that led to your conviction?
I've learned my lesson. I'm going to put my kids first. Before my anger gets the best of me, they come first.
Okay. Have you completed any kind of therapy or counseling?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that, please?
I ended up seeing a counselor. I did the psychiatrist and what is it? I forgot the other word for the other doctor. Where you talk to them too as well. It was pretty much like the whole anger management and parenting class, but it's like a one-on-one when you talk to a psychiatrist.
Are you in any counseling right now?
No, not right now.
Good. I don't have any further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Gonzalez, do you remember how many hours of community service that you completed in the work release program?
I know it was the max. Oh, I couldn't say off the top of my head. I want to say I was almost 2 years doing it, or a year. I don't remember exactly because I was going every day. And towards the end of my being done with my hours, I was going to 2 different sites to complete my hours.
What kind of community service were you doing?
I worked at the courthouse cleaning, and then they had me work at I don't remember what the building was called, but it was like for the city.
I've lost the camera for Miss Gonzalez. Miss Gonzalez, are you still with us? Oh, there she is. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
And what were you doing for the city?
Cleaning as well. And then the third site, which was the welfare office, cleaning as well. So all 3 sites you had to clean. So I was inside a building cleaning.
And when you say every day, do you mean for 8 hours a day?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Dr. O, I'm going to turn it over to you to take questions of the committee members.
Thank you. Kula, do you have any questions? Okay, Ricardo, do you have any questions?
Yes, I'd like to just say it takes a lot of courage to get before the board, and I want to say thank you and wish you the best with your children. Seeing that it was 8 years ago, I know people make mistakes, but I do believe in redemption. And since then, you haven't done anything. You've tried to get your life together, and I appreciate that. And I just want to say thank you again for coming before the board.
Thank you.
And Debbie?
Hi, Ms. Gonzalez. Like the others have said, thank you for coming before the board. And 6 kids, that's that's pretty impressive. I would think raising 6 kids would be a lot harder than talking to us, but maybe not. I just have one question. When we reinstate license, quite often you do have to either qualify. In the past, when you were a technician, had you passed the PTCB or the accept exam? Yes. Okay. Did you keep your PTCB certificate active?
No.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
And
Thank you.
Lisa?
Hi, Ms. Gonzalez. Really do appreciate you appearing before the board today. We know it is not easy. I just want to go back to a question that was asked of you earlier. So the question was, do you have or did you have anger management issues? Do you have any, or did you have any anger management issues?
No, I didn't.
And the reason I ask is because as a component of redemption is acknowledging, what has happened, to try to move past it. So you have learned. Have you utilized the tools from these classes recently, and have they been successful?
Yes, because I've never been like an angry person. That was a one-time thing. Especially having 6 kids, I don't get angry. No, I usually just even tell them to go ahead, step away. If you're mad or anything like that, take deep breaths.
Okay, yes, having 6 kids is certainly a stressful situation, and I commend you for your work. Thank you very much. No further questions.
Thank you, Jason. And I don't have any questions at this time, so it's back to you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Trauma, any additional questions for Ms. Gonzalez?
No additional questions.
All right, I'll then cede the floor to you, Ms. Trauma, for providing a closing statement in this matter.
Yes, I'll do a brief one, Your Honor. It's been 5 years since her license was revoked by default and over 7 since the incident that led to her conviction. If petitioner's license is reinstated, she should be placed on a period of probation with terms and conditions deemed appropriate by the board in order to maintain her practice. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gonzalez, I'll give you a final opportunity to make a closing statement to the board on your petition.
I want to thank you for hearing my case. I hope, as being a single mother of 6, that I'm able to get my license restated. I'm sorry, I'm so nervous. This would be the best thing getting back on my feet, especially for my kids.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Gonzalez. I'll excuse you as a witness and conclude your petition in this matter. As I indicated to Mr. Hartsock before you, I don't know if you were present, so let me share with you. I am hearing this matter with the committee, which means we don't have a quorum. That being said, it means that I will write a proposed decision and it will go back to the board for them to vote on that decision. All right, so you should see a decision in approximately 4 months' time.
Oh, in 4 months?
Approximately, yes.
Okay, would I get a letter or email?
You will be contacted with all the information that you need.
Okay, then thank you so much, you guys, for hearing me.
Thank you. All right, so you're more than welcome to leave us now if you'd like. Please be safe out there. Dr. O, I think at this time, I will turn the floor back to you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to thank members of the public who observed or participated in the meeting today. Members will now proceed to closed session as indicated on the agenda. The board will convene in closed session to deliberate on disciplinary and other matters as indicated on the agenda. Members will reconvene in open session to adjourn the meeting in open session. That portion of the meeting, however, will not be broadcast due to technological limitations. No board business will be conducted. Thank you all for participating today. Members, we will begin closed session around 1:30. Oh. Okay, we'll do 1:30. We'll take a lunch break, Your Honor, so you also can have your lunch, and we'll be back at 1:30.
Okay, Dr. O, you
And
said
a closed
that
session.
you said that board counsel was present.
Yes, she is right here.
Let me just ask. Yeah. Can you hear me okay still?
Yes. This is
Okay.
Eileen Smiley on board council. Do you want to talk in the meantime? If I can give you my cell number and we could talk if that's what you want to do. I tried to reach you before.
Actually,
Yes, please.
and I apologize, Your Honor, we're hoping to do at 1, so we're gonna probably multitask here in closed session, so hopefully that's okay.
Yeah, that's not a problem for me, but let me just ask board counsel one question. Under 43, well, why don't you give me your phone number?
It's 617. What? So we're still on.
Is there a chat function in WebEx?
This is the moderator. There is a chat function, but it's available to all the public as well.
I
So,
see. Okay, so not a
yes,
private chat function.
exactly.
Well, then let me do this. Board counsel, do you have access to email?
I do upstairs, so I can go if you want to send me an email.
Well, I really just have a question about the 4309C in drafting a proposed decision. If the board or the panel wants to give comments and have me attend closed session.
Yeah, we'll just go on closed session right now. Would that make it easier? And then we'll.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Could the meeting moderator please move the board members as well as the administrative law judge into a closed WebEx environment? Is that possible?
I can do that. I would just have to dismiss the members of the public first, and that's something I have to click on each of them individually and dismiss them. So if you are okay for me to do that, I can do that and then lock the session. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's
Dr.
okay.
Okay.
Let's just go to closed session.
Yeah, why don't we just go to closed session so we can end this and then we can call into the closed session number?
Oh,
Okay, so if you'd like to just switch over to closed session and call into that number, I'll just close the WebEx session then.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.